They'd say it was an accident. But the men knew, and I knew, that I had killed him.
Our mill was an average one. The usual machines and the usual sort of men. There was Mac and the bandsaw. And Wilson boring his square hole. And Lucky Williams operating the ripsaw, as usual, without a guard. Williams didn't like guards, said he worked better without. He was inclined to be careless that way. The superintendent had to keep warning him, but it was hard to make Lucky understand. "My work's all right, isn't it?" he used to say. And it was. Besides, everybody liked Lucky.
Hey, Lucky. What do you know? We got us a baby. 3 o'clock this morning.
No kidding. That's great, Bob. Now you really got troubles, boy.
You can say that again. Well, I'll see you at smoke period. Give me a cigar.
Thanks. I'll settle for a cigarette.
Old Armand Trottier operated the shaper. He worked to a different plan. Everything always clean and in good condition. You'd not catch him working without the guard. Not anymore. And there was Len Ritchie on the jointer. As a rule, he was average careful. Jointer was a bit safer, perhaps, than some of the other machines. Still, she was designed to cut.
Now look, men, I don't care what your work is. It's time we all took more care around our machines. Jointer's as good a place to start as any. Look at it. About as simple as you can get, isn't it? But it's got knives, and they're darn well meant to cut. Len was jointing this piece of wood. Just near the end, the knife struck this knot. The board broke, and Len's hand slipped off onto the cutter head. Now he's in the hospital. Could be worse. At least he hasn't lost any fingers. Just the tip.
Be laid up long?
Doc says several weeks unless complications set in.
That's tough.
Don't worry, kid. He'll get compensation. 75% of his pay. Not bad for no work.
I doubt whether you'd like it, Mike. He could be off for 10 weeks. If so, he'll only lose several $100, along with some sleep, some weight, and the ends of his fingers. I don't think any of you would like it. Anybody touched this since Len?
Nobody has touched it, Bill.
Then it's perfectly clear he wasn't using the leg of mutton guard, which would have helped to prevent the accident. This thing's designed to cover the cutter head. And he wasn't using the push block. Even if the wood does kick back, there's still the block between the fingers and the cutter head. Len was asking for trouble.
But Len nearly always used the block.
Yeah, nearly always. Well, you men know as well as I do that it's the very time when you don't use the guards when something happens. Even so, he was lucky. This is the old square cutter head. I had it replaced with a cylindrical one last year. The cylindrical one fills the table opening no matter what the position of the blades. But this one, if a man's hand went into this, he'd lose it halfway up to the elbow.
I guess that's what you'd call being short-handed.
You're not the one to be making jokes, Lucky. Come here. Nice and tidy. Guard's good and safe up here, too. This is no ornament, Lucky. And a rip saw is no toy. This guard does you the favor of keeping your hands off that saw. And another thing. That rim travels at about 200 feet a second. Now, suppose you're feeding a board through. The saw grabs and throws it back. That means this piece of wood starts back at about the same speed. So a hunk of wood hits you going the speed of a bullet. It tears into your guts. And if you don't die, you're all washed up as far as working anymore. Okay, Bob? Now, this is meant to help guard against kickback, too. You see these dogs? They slide with the wood, but dig in the second it starts back. The splitter here keeps the wood from binding. And another thing that helps, Lucky, okay? Always work with your saw high, out of the table as far as she'll go. Now, look, you've got it raised about 2 inches, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, the general direction being traveled by the teeth as they cut now is this way, back towards you. That's the way she'll try to kick the wood. You've got to push against them. Now, when the teeth come into contact, they're going almost straight down, pushing the work toward the table. Consequently, the chance of a kickback is lessened.
Say, it should be easier, too.
Sure. Why?
Well, the saw's pushing the wood down, not back. So it should be easier to feed.
That's right, Bob. Try it, Lucky, with the guard. Let me know what you think.
Sounds like it might be easier at that.
And safer. Don't forget the guard. It's just as easy to be careful before as after. Harmon here can tell you that.
He's right, Lucky. I used to be pretty careless myself. Till one day, when I was just trimming a corner. And of course, I was laid off for quite some time. Had lots of time to think about it. But when I get back to work, I made a few changes. Took my shaper apart and checked the knives. They were worn too short. The collars couldn't get a good grip. That's what happened to me. The knives got too loose. I checked the rest of my knives. Threw out all the ones that were getting short. Did another thing. Turned the knives over so that they undercut my work instead of top cutting like I used to. This way, there was always the work between me and the knives. Then I made me a guard. Good one. Held the word snug. Now, if anything slips, my hand hits the guard. Ever since then, I've had a safe machine. That was 15 years ago. I haven't had an accident since, and I aim to stay that way. Things went well after that. There was a new man filling in for Len Ritchie on the jointer. He was doing okay. Always used the guard and push block. Even Lucky Williams was doing better. Yeah, much better. But habit is mighty hard to break. He was soon back to his old ways, fast and careless. But Lucky figured the saw with his name on it hadn't been made. All a man had to do was keep a good grip, a steady hand, and a keen eye. That's all.
I knew then that I, Lucky Williams, had killed a man. Sure as though I'd done it with my own hands. And it didn't have to happen.